Hello, to episode number 3 of the Yeshiva League Pass Tip-Off Podcast. I'm Ari Wickus, and again, joined by the great Akiva Poppers. We are thrilled to be joined this week by our Player of the Week, Hunter Bernhardt from the Heschel Heat. We have a wonderful show we're excited to get into, give you all the information of what's happened, what's transpired, and what's on the agenda for the Yeshiva League Week. Before we get into that, we just wanted to mention our 2 main sponsors for the show, Cool Kippahs and Cool Fringes. If you need any Judaica wear, bar mitzvahs, anything to get yarmulkes, tzitzis. They have a host of other things, gift ideas for bar mitzvahs, weddings. Cool Kippahs located in Teaneck, New Jersey. You'll see throughout the show and later on where you can find them, their website and all that information. A great place. And also they are the sponsor of our Player of the Week interview, which Hunter will be getting a $10 gift certificate. I told him earlier, I've never seen a kid so excited. It was pretty special. And it's going to be a great thing for that. And then our second main sponsor is Holy Schnitzel. I know we don't want to talk about food here after Thanksgiving, but if you are looking for a place to get all the schnitzel, any type of food you want, salads, wraps, they have it all. They do catering as well. I've actually had an affair catered by them. It's been amazing. They do a great job. Holy Schnitzel, the one that we are discussing, is mainly located in Cedarhurst, New York, but they have changed throughout the country now. So Holy Schnitzel for all your heavenly food needs. And without further ado, Akiva, first of all, welcome back. Nice to see you. Happy holidays. And let's talk about who we have here today for this big interview.
Yeah. Well, good to be back. Always nice to record a new podcast. Yeah. I mean, there's one team which has been kind of exceeding expectations a little bit in the early going. And so obviously that's a team where we have to bring someone on. So we got Hunter Bernhardt from Heschel, which is 5-1 after winning 3 games last year. So they've already exceeded last year's win number. And I hear he's a big personality, and it should be a fun interview.
All right. So, Hunter, first of all, welcome to Shilo. Those are some big shoes to fill because Akiva is, lazy close to the vest. So if he's telling us about your personality, we hope it comes out. So first of all, welcome to the show. And just give us a quick, how's it going, how the season has begun. Then we have some questions to fire away with you. Just, introduce yourself to the audience out there.
All right. What's up? I'm Hunter. I'm a senior on the Heschel team. I've been on the team for 3 years. I played under 3 different coaches. I played with Coach Pick my first year as a sophomore varsity. Then I played with Andre Murray last year, and now, the great Ethan Ardone. So he's it's his first year on the team. And I mean, we're doing pretty well, it seems. He's had a bunch of experience coaching. He's coached at the collegiate level. He coached with Iona, Franklin, and Marshall, and he's made his way here, Yeshiva League ball. And I mean, it's been a great season. Like you said, this has been like a surprise season, for the league. But to us, we knew a little bit down there. We always were like, just be ready. We were working all this summer. Like we had one goal in mind, and we wanted to just get better and, kind of shock everyone. Just our whole motto is like, no one believes in us, but we believe in ourselves. So that's kind of all we need. And I mean, that's kind of what's pushed us this year. And I mean, that's what's made us great. I think just, we don't care. Just let's play our game and let's shock everyone. And it's kind of worked for us so far.
Wow. By the way, I think you answered all our questions before we asked. So we're gonna have to. No, I'm joking. That's great. But also, I want to mention Hunter is not a coach killer. Like he said, I've had 3 coaches in 3 years. He did not demand new coaches, so he referenced all the great coaches that I'm sure who have helped get him to this place. And obviously, Coach Pick, we know personally, is one of the best. And just getting a chance as your sophomore year to work with him, I'm sure has really helped you grow as a player and as a team. So the first question I have, and we're going to kind of go back and forth myself, and then Poppers is going to give you questions. So how did you guys manage to really, like Akiva said, you had 3 wins last year. The JV team last year, I don't think was much of a contender, and really came out of nowhere. I know Heschel in the Yeshiva League is sometimes unknown because the kids are not in the same camps and the same programs as other kids in some instances. But, no one really saw this coming, myself included. Obviously, our pre-power rankings, didn't give you the respect you deserved. So how did this come about? And, where did it come from? And tell us about that a little.
Yeah. So last year on the varsity team, there was just a preface. There was like maybe 7 or 8 juniors and 4 seniors, whatever it was. So it was a mostly, junior-led team last year. So seniors now, obviously. But it just there was no seriousness in the team. There were talented players. Like, we all could play ball. It was just there was no urgency, there was no seriousness. So, and we sucked last season, So I remember after the season, like, kind of we all came together. It was like, just like, that's not going to happen this year. So right away, it was kind of like, with no coach really, because that coach was gone. Then it was just the players. Like, all right, let's work on our own. Let's get better. Let's do this. Let's do that. So spring we were playing 2-3 times a week, and I mean, we knew that the sophomores then would be on the team this year, so we brought them along, and we had like maybe 11, 12 guys going twice a week, just 2 hours, up and down, and I mean, we loved it. We love playing ball, and we all kind of just agreed that, like, what happened last year is not going to happen this year. And I mean, then the summer was kind of our big time. Everyone went their own ways. I was working at Seneca this year with a couple other good Yeshiva League ball players. So I mean, I was kind of working on my own. We were all working on our own, and then right after summer, August, playing again, just together. I think that's a big part of our game. We've all kind of been playing just with each other for 8 months straight. It's not just like 2 months, so we kind of know each other well. But I mean, it's something clicked. It was something mental. It's just like not going to happen again this year. Like, we're ready. Like, let's work, and it's kind of what we're doing. And then obviously, coach helped us a lot, and I'll talk about him later. But yeah.
Right. That's great.
Yeah. Do you think that that chemistry that you guys developed is your biggest strength, or do you think there's something else here which is driving your 5-1 start?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely the chemistry, and it's also what I would think is just the mentality. It's just no one wants it more than us. That's kind of our thing. We don't care what anyone says. Just no one wants it more. Like, we have more heart than anyone. I think that's kind of what prevailed us in the TABC game. It was a grudge battle. It was just who wants it more, diving on the floor, rebound, pass. They were just everything, and I think that can propel you to new heights if that's kind of all you need, really.
Is there some sort of is there some area where you guys are looking to improve, a weakness that you have through the first 6 games, which you think in order to compete for a championship you need to get better in?
So I think probably our best thing right now is our defense. I mean, like, that's definitely what kind of, it's our motto, it's our mentality. It's kind of like, we think we have the best defense, in the league. Like, it's just plain and simple. I mean, but so I guess what we can improve on is our offense. We're actually going to Maryland at Beth Tefillah for a tournament this weekend, the Wiener tournament. So, I mean, that's kind of going to be our main focus because they have the shot clock there. So that, we're going to get a lot more shots up, during a game. But, our offense, I think, needs to definitely, improve a little bit, but I think every single game is getting a little bit better, and I mean, so I think, as time comes, it will get better, going on, but, every day 1% better. So it's kind of my mentality too.
Right. Well, one thing I heard that you said, and this is a good message for everyone out there, like, I think you said it really started with you guys together, no coach, getting continuity and working on your own game and really, putting it on the onus on yourself, which is something that, a lot of teams, just come in, expect like, okay, the season starts, we're good ball players individually, collectively we'll be good. And it doesn't just happen like that. And I've seen it, throughout. You can have the best ball players, but not necessarily the best team. So I think, that is a huge, thing to help for your success. My question with regards, we mentioned, so you have a new coach this year, right? And you kind of, mentioned that, you're a fan, obviously he's propelled you guys to the great start you've had. Tell us a little bit about his philosophy, what he preaches, and, what is his like mantra when he came in and said, this is what we are going to do and we're going to win because of it, or another team is going to have to outwork us or some way to take it away from us. So what's that about with him?
Yeah, so his philosophy is defense, defense, defense. I mean, he just like, he's like, I do not care what you do. You're going to play defense and you're going to play it well. So we play, man on man, hard defense. It's like getting rebounds. Everyone's going to get the ball, and then we're just going to play hard. And another thing, like I said before, we're going to play harder than everyone else. He prefaced, I don't care like who's on this team. I don't care how good you guys are. If we play well, if we play with heart and we play hard and we play great defense, we can beat anyone. And I think that's true, and it's kind of been proven too. I mean, he came in not knowing anyone, and within a week, everyone loved him. It was just because he I don't know what the word, but he kind of just vibed with us, like it was a bond, and he knew what we had.
He connected with you guys.
It was an instant connection. We were like, wow, like this kind of works now. We're like, we were holding each other like it was like 6-4 like the first quarter, like a scrimmage at practice. I'm like, what the hell? Like, like this is sick. It kind of worked. And it's honestly like, he always says like, like no one will want it more than you. I'm like, I know it's said 100 times, but that's it. That's, after every game, that's what we say, right on the board, together. So that's it.
Has he ever discussed either other teams playing zone and how that may impact their defensive effort, and also the possibility of you guys playing zone versus, or is this like totally, we are going to play 100% man. We are, that is our mentality. That's our identity. And we're not going to go away from it.
Yeah. He's kind of like, brought up that we could go zone if really needed, but we haven't really, it's like in every one of our games, I think the most we let up this year was, oh, never mind, because we played which went to double overtime, which was like 62. But besides that game, most was like 40 points. So we never really needed to, So I guess it could be a possibility that we could go to, switch from man to zone. A lot of teams have done that to us. But it's never really been, necessary because we've been playing, such good, tough man Z. So, yeah.
Right. I've actually found in the Yeshiva League, maybe tell me if you agree, like over the past 5 to 8 years, it used to be most teams played zone. Now the new coaches who have come in and they've really implemented a lot of man-to-man defenses, which is, kind of put the onus on the players. I think that's changed a lot over the course of the Yeshiva League basketball.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a trend in recent years.
So here's a question, Hunter. So, and I want you to give us a real answer here. So, obviously championships, everyone shoots for a championship, but what were real expectations coming into the season? Was it playoffs? Was it 8 wins? Was it let's beat these 3 schools? Obviously to think of a championship coming in off the season you had, new coach, new system, a little unrealistic. So what were the expectations coming in? Now that you're 5-1 and you beat TABC, who was the defending JV champion, a varsity perennial contender, and you've had a great start, and you have probably a little, and I'm not saying this as a negative, you probably have a little easier schedule the rest of the season because of a lot of it has to do with how you performed the year before. So what has those expectations changed? And, what are the realistic goals for this team this year? If you could give us an answer of all those things, that'd be great.
So I remember like after the season or, kind of during the summer, I was just talking to some of my boys. I was like, yeah, like I want to get into the playoffs and then, take a 1 game from there. So that was mine. But now, sitting at 5-1, kind of being here, it's like the whole team, it's kind of like we're snapped. We're like, damn, like, like we got a shot at this. So like, I still think it's, it's everything's like, take the next game like it's the Super Bowl. Like a coach always says, 1 game at a time, just get better. So, we're going to take the next game, day 1. Then let's get in the playoffs. Okay. It's like the first game like that. Then just keep on building. It's not like obviously the main goal is championship, but it's, just keep building. Let's take the next game 1 day at a time, and then we get in the playoffs. It just keep at 1% better everything. So, I think from the beginning, it was getting playoffs, then take it from there. Now it's just, take it as it is, keep getting better and see where we end up.
All right, Pop, what do you got for him? Hunter's got, like they said, all these guys, they go to the Heschel Media School. We had Ben and Ayden before. These guys, you guys are great. Really, really kudos to you guys.
They've been trained in the art of the sports cliche.
Yes.
No, it's good stuff, though. I'm curious, outside of sports a little bit now, about what your greatest achievement is, and who your biggest role model is, and maybe how you could speak to how that impacts, if at all, how you play on the court.
Tough question, yeah. I'll start with this. My greatest.
There we go.
All right, I'll just keep it simple. My greatest role model is probably my dad. He's the one who taught me, a love for the game. Really propelled me. I used to, could never beat him, and one-on-one, he used to, kick my butt, and then like, it just kind of like turned me out. Like I need to beat him. So that's when I really got, I think I got like serious about ball then, and then I finally beat him, and that'll change from there. So I think, I give him all, the glory. He taught me a love for the game. He taught me how to play. I really owe it to him. He's at every single one of my games, and he's, ballistic, the loudest one there. So I gotta give it to him. And then my greatest achievement, it's tough. I mean, I'll give you this. I'm going to Argentina, next month for the Pan Am Games, Maccabi. So, I mean, I think that was pretty cool, to make that. I also won a gold medal in San Diego last or 2 summers ago. So just keeping in the basketball where I think those would be probably my 2, greatest accomplishments.
Right. By the way, I would say this, and I've seen a lot of dads at games. No bigger fan are your parents, supporting behind you, and they should be going as ballistic as they can, because as you get older and you're not playing anymore, you're playing through your kids, through your kids' friends. So that's all good and fun, and they should be able to root. And they get over the wins are great. You enjoy them more, but the losses they take even harder than you. Just so you know. So it's good to have that passion. So here's my final question, and I kind of do this, like to hear everyone's different answers. Give us the top three, not in any order, Yeshiva League players that you feel coming into the season were on your radar or that you've played against already. The top 3 players. You're going to insult some people. That's why we asked the question. That's all good. Don't worry. I'm joking. There's no insult. It's just your opinion on who you feel right now, 3 best players in the Yeshiva League basketball in our league.
Yeah. All right. My insult to people.
No teammates included. You can't use a teammate also. So
no teammates. I'll keep it homegrown with my Seneca boys, because a lot of players were there just from, the summer. I'll give you one. Mr. Isaac Cooper from Flatbush. He's, very good friend of mine. I've had to guard my whole life. It's like, guarding Curry. He's just running around, never stops. And I mean, he's probably the best shooter I've ever seen. So he's definitely on our radar. Ben Abizadeh, North Shore. Had to play with him this summer too. And I mean, he's just like, he's unbelievable. I know he's, a little hurt right now, but he's going to come back. Don't you guys worry. Shout out you, Ben. And the third one, who's also been on my radar. Ooh, a tough one. Let's me think. Ish. And then I'll just say someone I know, probably. Let's see. Let's play with. And I'll give it to Ramaz. I'll say Milan Kushner. I play with him kind of my whole life, and I mean, he's a beast. He's just a bully down the paint. We had a tough time guarding him. When we played them, but we hope we see him again. So get another shot at them. But yeah, those were probably my top 3.
Right. 3 great ball players. By the way, Isaac Cooper, I mean, phenomenal start to his season. Watching him play. Wow. Yeah. Defensively, offensively, again, not a kid you come in, you think top 5 in the league or so, but wow, kudos to him. He's been fabulous. And obviously Ben and Milan Kushner have been, had good years last year as well and great players. So great answers. Akiva, anything to follow up? Any last questions before we let Hunter enjoy the rest of his holiday weekend?
Yeah, well, I know we pointed out on the YLP Instagram page that Isaac Cooper forced 2 5-second violations.
He's very excited
in their game against North Shore. I think it's good stuff. We already had Hunter on for 15 minutes. We don't want to keep him on for too much longer.
Right.
But I've enjoyed watching you guys play so far, and I'm intrigued to see where this is going to go over the course of the season, and as it looks like right now, into the playoffs.
Right. So yeah, congratulations, Hunter. Great start. Keep working, and the personality is definitely there. You don't need to work on that. You got that. So kudos to you, your whole team, and best of luck in the rest of the season. And I'm sure you're going to be a contender for everyone to be afraid of. So best of luck.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good one. Bye.
Take care. Now we bring you our Camp Lavi power rankings of the week or so, and we have some movers and shakers. We actually had a bunch of games come through recently, which have really shaken some things up, have put our teams on notice, and obviously we've had some upsets, we had some blowouts, we've had some great Yeshiva League basketball. So let's get right into it, Pops. We got number 19, the Kushner Cobras. Again, just not a great start to the season. A little undermanned, I would say, and they've been haven't put much of a fight up against it, except for earlier game or two, but haven't seen much from them yet, and that's why they're 19. And Keep, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this in the first show. You got to be competitive against teams which are better than you. Like if you're just getting blown off the floor, against a team which is good, then we will take that into account. And they've just been non-competitive in too many games so far, so that's why they're sitting at 19.
Right, exactly. And then we go number 18 is the Rambam Ravens. Again, I believe their only win may have been against Kushner early on in the season, if I'm correct. And again, haven't really contested most games where their teams are better than them or more highly ranked, which in most cases is almost every game. So that's why they're at 18 in our rankings this week.
Yep.
There we go. Akiva we don't want to talk about Rambam anymore. Not much to say, but hey, you never know. They're going to have some games where they're going to get going. So 17, we got the MTA Lions. Again, struggling earlier in the season, have not. They may be winless right now. I don't think they've beaten anyone.
And the final scores haven't been so representative of how they've played because it happens to be that when the benches get into the game, they're winning generally those minutes. But they've been non-competitive starters against starters to this point. But because the bench has eaten into deficits and they've demonstrated some depth, that's why we moved them up to 17. But still just haven't shown the ability to compete with better teams for even like a full first half.
Right. I don't think they're throwing any parties in Washington Heights for moving up in the rankings to 17, but congratulations for moving up a little. But yeah, they'll get better as the season goes along. And then at 16, we have the Hank Hurricanes. Again, I think they're going to get some wins down the road. I saw them play firsthand, and they have some talent. They just probably have had a tougher start of the season schedule-wise. So I expect them to get some wins and improve as the season goes on as well.
Yeah, and kind of the difference between, let's say, Hank and Ramon Kushner right now, even though Hank hasn't been able to get wins or really stay super close against some of these teams, which we consider significantly better than them, they've at least stayed somewhat competitive. They've been able to at least score against those teams. So that's why they're at 16 as opposed to 17, 18, or 19.
Right. And then at 15 and 14, we're going to kind of put these two teams together. So 15, we have Hillel Heat, who have not beaten anyone. And they I don't know, they're going to struggle this year. They lost a lot of talent last year, as we've mentioned previously. And, I just don't think they're committed to defensively the side of the ball as much as they need to be. They got scorers, and their mentality is to get their points, but they have a hard time defending people. And I think that's the reason they're at 15. Then at 14, we have the YDE Thunder, who's always just you see them on your schedule, you're going to get a good game. They're just not. That's really where I feel the power rankings really kind of changes tiers a little bit. And they're solid. They're just, again, they're in a tough division, and they're going to play a lot of schools who are just bigger schools, and they're going to struggle. But they'll give you a good game. What do you think about those two, Akiva?
Yeah, and just on Hillel quickly, they were up on Frisch at halftime. It was at Hillel's place, and obviously it's always difficult to go down to Deal. But it was they only lost 7 at the end of the game to Frisch. They were up at halftime by 3. So there's that to note. But I would agree with you. It's not the greatest start to the season, and obviously they lost a ton from last year, and that's showing. And with YD, as you pointed out, the ability to stay competitive somewhat with those teams which we consider to be better than them, and also they have wins over teams which are below them. So that's why they slide into this kind of mid to low tier where we don't expect them to be competing for a championship and probably not making the playoffs. But they've demonstrated the ability to stay competitive against teams which are playoff teams.
Right. And by the way, I should say that's how you make the playoffs. You beat the teams who you're supposed to beat on your schedule. Because look, 6 out of 10 teams in most divisions, there's 19 teams make the playoffs. So they will definitely, be a factor if they can take care of the teams that they are on paper better than. So then at number 13, we have the Waterbury Wolfpack. And they haven't played that much. They recently just picked up a win against Rambam. But again, they played half there competitively, and then at the end, the game got a little out of hand. But again, they got some players on the team. They're going to be fine. They're going to do a great job. And again, they'll beat some teams on their schedule that they're, maybe not as talented as, but they will beat some teams for sure.
Well, yeah, just like YDE, they have a couple of wins over teams which are below them. And then they have that close game against Hafter as well. Which is kind of why they got the nod over YDE in this 13-14 area. Just like YDE, a team which has the ability to make the playoffs if they win the games against the teams which on paper they are better than or as good as.
Right. And then at number 12, we have JEC Thunder, who I think, they're at 12, but they're like in this spot here where, they could slip 3-4 notches. They haven't been impressive early in the season. They have the big kid, Kadosh, who's, he doesn't play like a big kid. He doesn't play like he's 6'7". He plays on the outside and he has a skinny frame, and it might just be his game is not suited down low. But, a good coach and everything, good system. But I don't know. I've seen them firsthand one or two times, and I've seen them on some live streams. I just don't know. I think they're more likely to slip in the rankings than to move up, in my opinion. What do you think, Akiva?
Yeah, well, I know they're working on Kadosh. They're trying to develop some sort of post game with him. But yeah, obviously frame wise, he doesn't have the width yet right now to be great there. But I mean, he's very long and he's very tall. So even if even if he doesn't have the strength to go up against some other Yeshiva League bigs, really he's just very. I don't know how you play against him if he catches in the post.
Right.
You have to push him off a spot a little bit, but still not an easy matchup. Regardless, yeah, it's been a little bit of a mess right now, and something very concerning, which led us to drop them. Another spot here is the game against Ramaz just a few days ago, where defensively the effort getting back was completely not there. It kind of reminded me of the YU game last year against NYU, where just the effort was totally non-existent. And it's always a big red flag when you see that. And it's something which they're going to need to fix up ASAP in the locker room. Or else, as you said, yeah, they're going to drop more.
Right. Yeah, and absolutely. And then also kudos to YU for that. You just mentioned YU and YU. I saw that game the other night. What a fabulous game that was. I know YU was came out on the short end, but a fabulous game back and forth against a real perennial Division III powerhouse. So shout out to our YU listeners out there. So then at number 11, this is Team Or Yisrael, who has moved up. They had, I would say, probably the upset of the season thus far, without a doubt, where they beat Ramaz on a buzzer beater. They are, like we said, and we said this earlier on, they're going to beat some teams. Offensively, they're there. Coach W. Foreman has got them playing at a high level. He's really made a difference on the team with their, establishing their sets and just their team ball. And the Rosahada and Gross combo has been phenomenal. They did follow that Ramaz game up, and they lost to SAR by 10. So we have them at number 11, but they're dangerous. They're lurking, and they're, like we said, they're going to beat some teams. But I've been very impressed with what I've seen so far, and I think they continue to get better as well.
Yeah, the SR game, it was 10. It didn't really feel like 10. It felt like a little more. They held Rosazada in check. But yeah, when you have a guy like Rosazada and also a guy like Yermi Gross who can go off as well, you have the offensive ability to compete with teams above you. And yeah, they got that, the shocker over Ramaz. They still don't strike me as championship contenders right now. But certainly they deserve to move up in the rankings, and they're kind of in that tier just below the teams where we wouldn't be surprised to see them go on a little bit of a run in the playoffs. Right,
and even when Hunter from Heschel mentioned, they beat them. Heschel beat them in double overtime. So obviously, Heschel, upper.
Sure. I would add though, it was Heschel's first game with the new coach. Defensively, they were not where they are right now. I think Rosazada had 36 in that game. I think if they played again right now, Heschel would win by at least 10. But with that said, yeah, they did almost beat Heschel at Heschel's place.
Right. So there we go. And number 10, our most disappointing team. Do not sleep on them. They're Wounded Warriors right now. They're licking their chops, and they just have a tough schedule. North Shore. We had them, I believe, in the top 3 rankings earlier in the season. They're winless in Yeshiva League basketball right now. They're slowly getting healthier, I should say. I don't know if they'll be healthy all season. Carmilli, I think I played a little bit in Flatbush, against Flatbush, which was just another blowout loss to Flatbush. They ended up losing by 20 plus, and they had the big 3 were back in a limited capacity. And I think what I see when I see them, they lost at Hafter earlier in the week. When I see them play, I just see the lack of depth, the lack of speed, and it's just they're really struggling to score points. I think most of their games they're getting between 30 to 35, 40 points, and that's unless you're excellent defensively, like Heschel has been and has talked about. Hunter told us before, it's really going to be hard to beat those teams if you're just not scoring. And again, play them now if you have them on your schedule. Kudos to you. It's going to be easier than playing them later, but they have a tough schedule, and I think we can only keep making excuses for them for so long until they have to get some W's.
Yeah. There's a reason why they dropped all the way down to 10, because it is, despite the, it's not really their fault that they have injuries, but it is right now a little bit of a disaster. And they have a really tough schedule, and they have massive games coming up against TABC and DRS, which, if they lose those games, they're in huge trouble.
Right.
And I think it's the injuries in depth, but also it's pretty clear that the personnel which graduated from last year, Falik, the ball pressure he provided, and Orbach, just the scoring ability, which they're just kind of lacking right now, is taking its toll as well on the team significantly. Now, right. Do I think if they were healthy that they would be at number 10? No, I do not. But there's what are we supposed to do with them?
Right.
Obviously, right now they don't even look like number 10 right now. They look even maybe.
We had us in our committee. We really were like, should we make them a little lower? Are they really below those teams? But it's like they're the enigma right now. But we gave them the credit on their championship history.
Yeah, and I would also note, they had the blowout loss against Flatbush. They did keep Hafter close in this latest game. They almost beat Frisch at Frisch's place. So they've still maintained the ability to stay competitive against teams which are slightly above them in the rankings, for the most part. So even with all their issues, they're not a bad team.
No. And also one other thing I will mention, and you actually brought this up, Orbach was such a difference maker because he created his own shot. He saw a lane or a little seam, and he just took it to the hole. They don't have that right now. Ben, the big Ben is more of a methodical player. He has to pick and choose. Him getting through the defense. But yeah, Orbach was a major loss, and that's why he was one of the top players in the league last year.
Yeah. So, well, I don't think. You don't. The ability to create your own shot is not even a need, really. You don't need to have that. But it can't hurt to have it when you're just everything is dysfunctional offensively. To have someone who you can go to and
to bail you out.
To bail you out, right? They don't have that right now. I don't think they needed that in the past. It was nice to have. Right now, they kind of need it because they just don't have the ability to score with some of these other teams.
Absolutely.
There's only so much you can do if you're only scoring 30 points a game.
Right.
Doesn't matter how good you are defensively.
By the way, this will probably be the most we ever talk about a number 10 team in our power rankings. So that just shows you the admiration we have for the North Shore team and their capabilities. So at number 9, we have the TABC Storm, who are right now only win is against Hillel. They lost to aforementioned Heschel Heat, and Heschel really controlled that game from beginning to end at TABC. TABC's crowd was silenced, and they're going to have to show us because right now they came into the season really on the lore of their junior varsity players, Kindlerer, Mandel, and some others. And I know Gurin a senior is playing well, but again, I don't know. I'm not seeing the same dominance from TABC or the same scaredness you get when you play them right now. But obviously they will improve. But that's why we have them at number 9.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if they drop further from here, but they're clearly just still figuring things out. And they lost to Heschel, they lost as well to DRS. So we obviously had to drop them while they're in this phase of learning on the fly.
Right, and again, Coach Oz will get them ready. No question about that. So at number 8, we have the SAR Sting, who kind of been holding steady here throughout the rankings from beginning to now. You kind of beaten who they're supposed to beaten, and they've lost to the teams that they maybe been a little higher. I think Fresh being the only team that they lost to. Again, they're big. They have players coming back from injury. Not sure if they're back yet or not. Kiva, you may know more. But again, a good team will beat a lot of teams, and we'll just you see them on the schedule, you're going to get a tough matchup. Look for them to have a good season and continue to get better as well.
Yeah, SAR is a playoff team. There's no doubt about that, and they're 3-1 as well. You can just clearly tell by watching. It's not the SAR of previous years. You can tell by watching them. I mean, you can tell on paper as well, but even just watching them, it's quite obvious that they don't have the talent level of previous years. And I think of all the teams, they've stayed pretty much the most stable of all, as you mentioned. I think we had them at 7 to start, then to 9, then now at 8.
Right. So stability is good, but you want to move up also. So
right.
And then at number 7, we have probably the biggest disgruntled fan base we have in the league right now. The Frisch Cougars standing at 5-0 on top of the division, on top of the world, but not in the top of our power rankings. Poppers and I are, when we do our power rankings, and we discuss this a lot, it's not just about where you are now, it's where we think you will be, who you have beaten, and what your potential is. And yes, they're 5-0. They haven't had the toughest schedule. Their best win of the season is probably at home against North Shore in a slugfest with an undermanned North Shore team. They won by a few points, but they're taking care of business. They went down to Hillel. They beat it by 7 points. They beat SAR earlier in the season. So schedule-wise, they should be 5-0, right? This week coming up, they're going to have a huge game. This is one of our Game of the Week nominees against Ramaz in Ramaz. That will show us a lot about them, and I'm sure they'll get all the Poppers and Wickes quotes up on their board, and if that helps motivate these high school kids, go ahead. I think they listen to more things than not from what we say. So they're at 7, solid, and I just think that we think they're where they should be, but they have a potential this week to really move up.
Yeah, and then also after it doesn't get easier from there, because after the Ramaz game they get Mag and David. This will show us. Just from the eye test, I have my doubts that this will last. The undefeated record, also as you mentioned, the best team they've beaten so far is SER. But they do have some nice balance across the board in Slasky and Schechter and Berkowitz. They are a playoff team, and it's a team which I wouldn't be surprised to see in the semifinals. I just have my doubts that I'll be seeing them in the championship game, and for that, it's just between them and the other teams, right? Who is above them? I don't see them dropping much from here. They could lose to Mag and David and Ramaz and go up in our rankings. Because we do not operate off of record solely. I just don't see a team right now which is a championship contender in the true sense of the word.
Right. I also feel like with Frisch, Akiva, tell me if I'm wrong, I feel like they don't have that much room to grow as a team. Like, I know those players, and I think we've seen them play over the course of their season. They're not really superstar players, and you don't need a superstar. Last year they had Zach have a superstar. You don't necessarily need a superstar player to win in this league, but I just don't know if the ceiling of those players is going to get much higher. And they're good ball players. I just don't know if they're going to be able to, take it to the next level for a Flatbush, a Mag and David, where those caliber athlete, they can contend with those kids as well.
Yep. And I also don't think that they've shown improvement over the course of the season so far. I think it's just been, just like SCR, kind of relatively stable over the course.
And then speaking of, everything we just said about Frisch and some of the teams below, at number 6, we have the juggernaut, the Heschel Heat. We talked about them with Hunter. Phenomenal, out of nowhere. I mean, like we said in the interview, I had no idea. We penciled them in. Are they 19? Are they 18? Are they 17? We don't really know.
Give us credit. I think we had them at 15 or something, right?
Okay, right. So we gave them.
We didn't have them at 19.
Credit. Right. But I'm saying we didn't know much about them. But that TABC game really, and that TABC live stream, kudos to them. They do a great job. So a lot of people are tuned in to see who is Heschel, what they are about, and also what TABC is about. And they just, I would say, they dominated that game beginning to end. Even their new coach, I think he outcoached Oz that game. I don't know if Oz was prepared. It's hard to prepare for a team you don't really know much about with the new coach. But they were up by 7 to 10 points throughout the game, and anytime they needed a shot, they hit it. They were playing with great teamwork, intensity, and camaraderie. And I think, a testament to what Hunter said. You showed a lot of the offseason work, the continuity in that team, the belief in themselves, and they're really getting all the love this week because they've shown that they deserve it.
Yeah, I know we had a little bit of a back and forth. Should Frisch be at 6, Heschel at 7, Heschel at 6, Frisch at 7? Frisch undefeated, Heschel has lost to Ramaz. Ultimately, we went with Heschel above. I think they're right there. Not just as a let's reward them for all the work, but just because we've already seen how much they've grown. There's no indication that they don't have the ability to continue growing as well. And also, they lost Ramaz by 15, but that'll happen sometimes when you have a team which is coming out of nowhere. The first loss, sometimes things will get a little bit out of hand. They couldn't hit a shot, but they're at 6 because of how they guard. And I said before, I want to discount the game against Ortu because it was their first game, and clearly they have played completely differently on the defensive side of the ball since then. And they have great chemistry too, as Hunter spoke to. They're sitting pretty at 5-1 as well. Maybe I'll get to them. I'll talk about it more once we get to the next team. But I think we're still not in the tier of teams which we expect to win or be right there for a championship. But certainly Heschel is a team which has the ability to compete in the playoffs.
Right, and also as we mentioned, easy schedule. They have on paper. They don't play many of the big powerhouses. I think they're out of conference games against the lower tier teams. So they're gonna roll through a lot of wins, or they should at least, and I believe they will. So that's why they're at number 6. At number 5, we have the DRS Wildcats. DRS also coming off a big win against TABC. They went into TABC's house, took care of business. That's always a great matchup. The two predominant all-boys schools, DRS in the 5 towns, TABC in Bergen County. And I didn't see the game. I just saw the score. And from what I heard, Aiden Bookbinder had a phenomenal game, had 31, 32 points.
Yep.
DRS, I saw them earlier on in the Mag and David tournament. Again, didn't have much expectations coming in. Just thought they'd be the solid DRS team. I think they're playing great. They had a tough loss earlier to Magan, but again, be careful because they will beat you. They will outwork you. And, kudos to them at number 5 in our power rankings.
Yeah. And as we've mentioned in previous shows, they're not the most talented. I think if anyone were making a talent ranking, they would not be at number 5. But they play well together and they have good chemistry, just like Heschel. And I think they have a higher ceiling than Heschel, which is why they're at 5 as opposed to Heschel being at 6. But kind of the two of them right there have demonstrated the ability to beat teams which are of similar or are slightly more talent level than them. That is the best indicator of a team which belongs in this tier of the power rankings, is the ability to beat teams which are slightly more talented than you. I don't have much more to say about DRS because we've spoken about them a bunch in the past as well.
Right.
But so they belong at number 5. There were some questions when we put them, I think, at number 5 or number 6 in our first power rankings. Is DRS actually that good? And I think they are. I think they are good.
Right, and again, we'll talk about them a bit more in our Game of the Week segment coming up. And at number 4, we have the Hafter Hawks. So Hafter, again, they've beaten an undermanned North Shore team by a few points, but I don't think that's been their most impressive win of the season. They beat North Shore twice, actually. They beat them in the Cooper tournament as well. They blew them out of that game. But I think what I saw the most out of Hafter, and again know them pretty well, is their loss to Flatbush. They lost to Flatbush, a game that they basically were leading by 7 to 10 points throughout the game. Ultimately, Flatbush came back because that's what the championship aspiration teams do. Their talent won over. But again, I think I saw a lot in that loss. I think the one key, and I know we've been harping on this, is that Kevin Levy, Sam Siri, those guys, but the key to their season is Peter Drucker, the big man, because if they get the ball in his hands, he's just a force. Even when Beni Kangaroo Keda was guarding him, he got him up in the air and he uses his ball fakes and his footwork to score. So I think potential. We'll see them again this coming up week against DRS and ultimately against Ramaz within a week or so. So they'll have some battles as well. But I think at number 4, they've really established themselves as a contender this season.
Yeah, I agree. Drucker is kind of what puts it all together, and also he was missing in one of the previous games. I forget which, but in one of their games he didn't even play. I think they won.
I think in North Shore. I think it was North Shore.
Was it the first North Shore game? No, it was the
second North Shore game. Right.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, if he was there, they probably win that game by more than 5. But yeah, I agree with you also that the most impressive game has been the one where they kept Flatbush right there. And besides Magan David, I think they're the only team which has shown that ability too. I mean, obviously, not everyone has played Flatbush, so teams haven't had the ability to demonstrate that they're capable of it. But yeah, certainly, a senior-led group, a talented group, and one which is right there in the championship conversation, and we'll actually play DRS shortly, which maybe we'll get to later, in a good 5 towns battle for the 4-5 spot in the power rankings.
Right. Well, actually, now we this is a perfect segue. We didn't even do this on purpose, but at number 3 is the Ramaz Rams, the other team who played Flatbush very close. They actually lost them in overtime in the Magan David tournament. So yeah, so Ramaz comes in at number 3. Maybe some people thought maybe they were going to drop. They lost a heartbreaker to Ori Yisrael on a buzzer beater, back and forth game. But I think what we saw with Ramaz is the next game when they played against Heschel. That game, Heschel was coming in. It was the night after Heschel beat TABC. Heschel Ramaz, always a big rivalry in the city. And Ramaz came out, jumped that game. I believe it was 15-0 at the end of the first quarter, which ultimately was their difference in the game, 15 points. They controlled the game, double-digit lead throughout the game. And Ramaz, and then followed up with the doubling up JEC 74-37 right before Thanksgiving. So I think the Ori Yisrael game was a good wake up for them, coming off their heartbreaking loss to Shalhevet by 1 point as well. And yep. I think they are right there below Flatbush and Magan on the potential to be a championship team. They got to do a lot of work. They got to work together. But I think they have great ball players. We've mentioned them before: Kushner, Glasberg, Ohayon, Sugar, Bracha, Segura. I know a lot of them, so I'll throw out a lot of names. But a lot of names. Yeah, exactly. So I'll stop talking about them. But they're really solid in a big week coming up against Frisch as well.
Yeah, I would agree. Also, I'm not going to discount the loss to Or, but it feels like everyone's discounting Or, right? Heschel, I'm discounting Or. I'm not discounting the loss to Or. It happens. It's basketball, right? If you don't play well, you can lose to teams which you are better than. And they didn't play well. And I think we've seen since then that they are quite good. But we've known all along that the talent is there. They're well coached as well, obviously, and just like most of these teams in the top tier. Well, common trend for the top tier is that they're well coached. Teams in the top tier are well coached. So yes, Ramaz belongs to number 3 and is a championship contender, as they have been since our preseason rankings.
Right, absolutely. Then at number 2, and this is we've said all along, kind of a tier. Excuse me. I'm getting over bronchitis. I'm okay. I'm not choked up talking about Magan David, but I do have a lot of affinity in my heart for them. So here, back to Magan David. They're at number 2, and I was saying tier 2. This is tier 1 in my opinion. Flatbush, Magan David, as we've seen by the 2 battles they've had this season. Magan David at number 2. Again, just taking care of business. Smecky has been a tremendous addition to their program and their team. He's like just the scorer that they have, that if they're in trouble, he can bail them out. He's kind of like Zakhai light in a way where he can elevate on his jump shot, take it to the hole, confidence through the roof. He's been a great addition. And then their returning players are just fabulous, and their coaching is second to none. And I look for them to just keep ramming up on the rankings. And Flatbush is probably their litmus test right now, because that's the team they're probably looking at. But again, I think I believe Haber's injuries, now we're probably 2 weeks in. Hopefully he's Rafua Shalema, he's getting a little better. And they're in the little softer part of their schedule as well. So we'll hope to see how they can get the group going as well.
Yeah, hopefully he's back for the Flatbush game in a couple of weeks, which should be pretty exciting. Yeah, Smecky's certainly a talent. I also, something which is crucial for them is to make sure that they keep the balance of shots, and that somewhere where I would differentiate from Frisch last year is that Frisch kind of needed Sakhai more than Magen David needs Smecky.
100%.
In the sense that you don't, as much of a positive as it can be one game, it can also be a negative another game if you have a player in a very talented and balanced team, like Magen David has. If that one player is then continuing to shoot, I'm not saying he's done that, but I'm saying that's something which they'll need to make sure that they continue to be good at, is keeping the balance, making sure that Chabot's getting his shots, and making sure that Sardar getting a few opportunities as well. And
that's a great point, Akiva. You're right, because Smecky, you're going to need those other guys, and those are established ball players. So I think throughout the season, you'll see that teamwork and continuity, really develop between the coaches who are great there. They'll work that out. But that's a fabulous point.
Yeah, but just for now, they continue to roll. There's really nothing else to say. They haven't played the greatest competition in the past couple of weeks, and we haven't seen anything which would indicate that they should be moved in either direction.
Right. And then at number one, sitting here pretty much, I think it topped their first rankings, they were behind Magen, because Magen had beaten them in the Magen David tournament. Number one, Flatbush, rolling at all cylinders. The one thing, and we talked about this before, Isaac Cooper, I think the leap in his game has been firsthand. You've seen it. His defense has been phenomenal. His shooting, as Hunter has mentioned, has been, running around off screens. Kid doesn't get tired, hitting big shots. Defensively, he's great. Defensively, as a team, as a unit, we obviously thought they'd be great because of Beni, but all of those guys are manning up and really taking their onus on themselves. And Coach Malk has done a great job there. And again, we'll see as they play some of the bigger teams, if they're on a tier all by themselves, or they're going to come down. And they do have a schedule where they're going to play some good teams as well.
Yeah, I mean, they are elite defensively. I think they are the best defensive team in the Yeshiva League right now. Beyond that, they're super talented too. Obviously they deserve to be at number one as things go on. Against North Shore, I mentioned Isaac Cooper had 2 5-second violations forced in the half court against North Shore. As a team, they had 5, which I've never seen before.
Wow. I don't know if you get that in a season sometimes.
Right. I've never seen that before. But it just speaks to the aggressive nature of how they play defensively. They put you in pressure situations. They force you to make decisions. And these are high school kids, right? So decision-making is difficult on the fly for anyone. But certainly even more so when you have a talented athletic team hounding you. And that's what they've been able to do defensively to this point, is force other teams to make bad decisions.
Right. And I think also what they have is depth. Coach Malk is playing a lot of players. So if you're not bringing the intensity, you're going to be on the bench. And I think that plays to what he's trying to preach there. Those kids are ready when they get their opportunity. And they've really pressured the ball and created.
And also they've also been able to play at the intensity that they play at because of the depth that they have. So there's that as well. The depth goes in both directions. It's not just play hard. It's not just defend or don't play. It's also the reason why we are able to defend as hard as we defend is because we have the depth that we have.
Yeah, and that's why they're number one on our Camp Lavi Power Rankings of the week. So again, let us see what happens. It all happens on the court. We base it all on what we see, what we're seeing as potential, as a good win, a bad win, a great loss, a bad loss. It all factors in. It's not just about record. So prove us wrong, prove us right. We can take it. We're looking forward to seeing you guys put it all on the court, and those are our Camp Lavi Power Rankings of the week. And now for our next segment, we have our Holy Schnitzel. Not Holy Schnitzel. We have our Plays of the Week. And here we go. We're going to roll our Plays of the Week.
Yeshiva Pass Top Plays, beginning in 3, 2, 1.
right. They say to repent before the day of one's death. No one knows when that will be. Oh, behind the back pass! Joey Kassin from Eli Braha. But Ed Zucker in the crowd wanted him. Whoa, what a move!
It was great once again to see the Keda plays of the week. I think Keda has been on it every week. And by the way, it won't be the last. And I think that guy keeps dunking or entering maybe the NBA dunk contest. We'll see some more plays of the week. But keep on sending those in for everyone out there. We love to see it. The staff goes over them all, and that was some great work. So that was our plays of the week. Our next segment, the Holy Schnitzel Game of the Week. We got a good one. This is as voted on by you, the followers. It's the DRS Wildcats at number 5 in our rankings, going down to HAFTR, not going down that far, to take on the number 4 HAFTR Hawks in a really good litmus test for both teams. Obviously, this is a big game, regardless of where they're ranked. It's a rivalry. All kids friends with each other, families friends until the game starts, and afterwards they embrace each other again. But this is a big one. They played earlier on in the preseason Mag and David tournament. DRS was victorious by, I believe, 1 or 2 points. A great game, classic rivalry game. And now we have a game where we need to see a lot. So I'll let you start here, Akiva. What are you looking for in this DRS HAFTR game?
Well, first, don't we have to discuss how we're both 0-1?
Yes, exactly. We both are 0-1. So we'll give our predictions after. But yes, Frisch shut us up again.
It was close though. We were right there.
Yes.
And then again, if it was the other direction, we would have been like, oh yeah, it was easy. Frisch, obviously, definitely.
Of course. Listen, we're trying to tell everyone they got to move up in their power rankings by working hard. We have to do the same, right? We can only get better now.
Right. Although I would point out that if we are lucky to get as good of a game as that game this week, then we are in for a treat. So you want my thoughts on this one?
Yeah, start with you, and then I'll jump in. What do you think is keys to the game, and what do you think has to happen?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll keep it very, very simple. I'm going to pick DRS. I'm not even going to get to keys to the game or anything. I'm going to pick DRS in HAFTR, just because I like what DRS has going for them right now. Again, they're not the most talented team. They have some pieces who can score the ball, and you need that with any team. But they guard well, and they play well together as a unit. And they've beaten HAFTR already. Not that game matters much because it was a month ago. But they've beaten HAFTR already, and let me put it this way. I think it's a total toss-up, and so I'm just going to pick DRS.
All right, there you go. Well, okay. First of all, I'm going on the other side today. I'm actually picking HAFTR. I think HAFTR wins this game, and the reasons are this. It's the big fella, number 32. I think Peter Drucker, and I've been saying it all year. I've even said it to Coach Honig, in my when I put my coaching hat on. I'm like, you got to work through Peter Drucker. He's just a phenomenal player. And if you play with your 4 guards around him, and they're all hunting their own shot, as opposed to working off of the big guy, you're taking him away from his strength. So I think that, especially against a team like DRS, who has a little size with Joseph Aaron and Fine and B-Tone, but they don't have the girth of Peter Drucker. So I think if he gets the ball, he can dominate this game. I look for HAFTR again to win in a close game. I'd say probably by 5 points. But I think that the reason is Peter Drucker. And I think if they work through him, and he's healthy, I know he was out a game last week with just like not feeling well, but I think that is going to propel them. I think HAFTR wants this game. It's in their own gym, which could still mean it's outnumbered by DRS students. That's just the DRS fandom. They travel very well, especially when it's across the street. So it's going to be a good game. But I think Kevin Levy's going to have a good game. You always expect him to do his thing. Siri to drive to the hoop. You kind of know what you're going to get with those other players. I think Goldschmidt is a key player for them if he can limit his turnovers. But Peter Drucker is a big man. And then on the other side, for DRS, I think Saidi, the point guard, who's a player who's impressed me with his speed, a junior, and Joseph Aaron, who's played very well against Hafner in the past. And then obviously Buckbinder, who's just, kind of vanilla. He doesn't really stand out. He's not one of these look-at-me players. He just performs, and he shows it on the court. And before you know it, he has 30 points, and, he puts it all out there. So I think it's going to be a great game. And I think, in my opinion, Hafner ekes it out, wins by 5 points. And we'll see between you and I who gets our first win this week.
There you go. I don't disagree with anything you said, except for the final score prediction. If Hafner plays this game through the post consistently and they play inside out, they probably do win. I'm just not sure that they're going to be able to do that consistently. Which I'll see. But yeah, as I said, the reason why I'm not going to get into too much of a prediction here is because I think these teams are right there with each other, matchup wise. And so I'm expecting a very good close game. And also this, no matter who I pick, I won't feel good about it.
Yeah, no. And by the way, I felt the same when we picked North Shore Fresh. It wasn't like, put this in the bank, put your Hanukkah money on this game. This is not happening. It's that's why they're the games of the week. There's a lot of potential to go either way. Yeah. So
I would say picking Sarachek's a lot easier. I get there are some games there which aren't games of the week, but you get free dubs out of it, and then you don't have to overthink the other ones too much. Yeah, here it's like I don't even want to overthink this too much at all. I just want to keep it simple.
Right. The only other last thing I want to say is that it's a big game because you're going to look at the Magans and the Flatbush, what they both play, and those games are going to be really tough to win. This is a game where it's 50-50, right? You're going into the game like, oh, I could beat TRS, oh, I could beat Hafter when they're playing each other. When you're playing Flatbush Magans, you're going to be like, I need to play my best game to beat them. So that's why for rankings, and especially with playoff seedings, it really matters to win the games against your, common opponent as far as talent-wise. So there you go. Wicked says Hafter, Popper says DRS. One of us will be right for the first time. One of us will be wrong for the second time. So that's our Holy Schnitzel game of the week. And that's pretty much a wrap on our show. We've covered it all. We want to thank Hunter Bernhardt from Heschel for joining us for the Player of the Week, which was brought to you by Cool Kippahs and Cool Fringes. Again, our advertisers are, the lifeline of our show. If you are looking to advertise, you have an after summer basketball camp. I'm going to just put it out there. I know there's a lot going on. Please, call us. Give us you shoot your email to Pop. What's the email again, Poppers?
Yeah, poppers@yeshivaleaguepass.com. Pretty simple.
There you go. Send it in. We're definitely looking for a few more advertisers, but we're also looking for the right match. So our clientele is you, the Yeshiva League, all across America. People are tuning into the show, and hit us with the direct messages or hip hoppers with it. Tell us how terrible we are, and occasionally if we get something right, you can let us know as well. But Holy Schnitzel, keep doing your thing, feeding us, and they're everything you need for a caterer, in-house restaurant, to order, takeout, Uber Eats, whatever you need. So thank you to our sponsors, and we look forward to being back with you with our next show. And again, I'm Ari Witkus and the great Akiva Poppers, Yeshiva League Pass Tip-Off Podcast number 3 in the books.